Stick around because I'm going to tell you 8 mistakes I made in my first year as an entrepreneur and how you can avoid doing similar. Running a cold email campaign is one of the easiest ways, one of the most straightforward ways I've found to get new clients. We've used it to match with most of the Fortune 500 for our agency clients and a lot of billion-dollar brands we've been able to sell. We've generated millions of dollars of revenue just from cold email. The problem is if you've tried cold email, it's not as straightforward and as easy as it looks. But luckily, we have put together the cold email optimization checklist, and you can have it for free. What this is the internal tool we use to optimize our cold email campaigns. This checklist will teach you or your team when to rewrite the subject line, when to rewrite the body of the email, what to put in the body of the email, how to check the email to make sure there's no errors before the send goes out. All of that in a very straightforward checklist, and you can have it for free. To get it, go over to experiment27.com/checklist, and you can have that download. Again, the URL is experiment27.com/checklist. Who am I? I'm Alex Berman. I've generated over $10 million in sales. We have multiple companies that we're running in the B2B space, including X27, where we help companies book meetings with billion-dollar brands, Email 10K, where we help people book clients and grow businesses by working with companies that can afford them, and Simple Apps, where we help Shopify owners with various tasks like Facebook Messenger integration and things like that. I'm running a bunch of businesses now, but it wasn't always this smooth sailing, all right? I wasn't always able to look out and see these beautiful Colorado mountains out here. No, for many a year, it was a struggle. And I want to break down 8 things that I screwed up in my first year, so stick around. Let's do it. The first mistake I made in my first year as an entrepreneur was not collecting money. Don't assume clients will pay. I remember I was so hyped my first 30 days as an entrepreneur because I was closing business, or so I thought. I had a bunch of people that were telling me that, yeah, I'll pay you $4,000 a month for this. Yeah, I'll pay you $3,000 a month, etc. But then my rent was due on the 1st, and I remember looking at my bank account and not having any money in there. So I talked to one of my mentors. I used to hate the word mentor. You know what? I love the word mentor now. I talked to one of my mentors who has run a successful business in the past, and she said that nobody wants to pay unless they're asked. And I was sitting here with no money and I was freaking out. And all I had to do was I talked to the 2 clients I had at the time. And by the end of the day, I had money in the bank. So don't assume clients are going to pay, and make sure you're collecting money. The second mistake I made in my first year as an entrepreneur was selling too many things. I tried a lot in my first year as an entrepreneur. I was selling content and blog posts. I was selling lead generation, all-in-one marketing management, agency marketing management, and it was too much. It's good to sell a bunch of stuff as a test, but the process that we go through in Email 10K in our business course now is exactly what I would do if we were starting over again, which is come up with a hypothesis, figure out what type of business you think you want. So for instance, I want to sell content marketing to e-commerce stores. Make a list of 200 of those stores, email them, and see if somebody buys. If nobody buys from those first 200, it's not a strong enough idea and you should move on. Number 3, hiring too many people. When I was first getting started in entrepreneurship, I was coming off of reading 4-Hour Workweek and reading about all these digital nomads. And it is the dream of entrepreneurship to sit around and not do anything. And honestly, it is a dream that's achievable, but it's not achievable in your first 30 days as an entrepreneur. And that is what I learned. So I wanted to outsource everything off the bat. I focused on managing other people, and I hired somebody to do my sales. So my cold emails to find clients. I hired somebody to fulfill when we were doing lead gen. I had a sales manager and I had people cold calling, both for our business and for our clients' businesses. That was a mistake because I was spending money I didn't have. I was putting it on credit cards, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it would have been much better if I handled both things until we had enough money in the bank to actually hire people instead of going in the red. And it would have been better to handle both things until I was sustainably living as an entrepreneur, even if that was $3,000 a month. Because I didn't want to do the work early on and I wanted to outsource it, it led to a lot of turmoil and a lot more stress than if I had just fulfilled, especially when we only had a couple clients. Mistake number 4, which is a related mistake to what we just talked about, is I went into credit card debt. So both for hires and for the next thing I'm going to talk about, I was spending a crazy amount of money, $2-3 grand a month on salaries and things like that when I couldn't afford it, putting it on credit cards. And I ended up about 40 grand in debt because of that. Now, would I go back and get 40 grand in debt again if I was doing it over? Hell yeah, I would, because it allowed me freedom. It allowed me to see that I was an entrepreneur. If I didn't succeed with that, would I recommend the same thing? Probably. I mean, you just got to take a bet on yourself sometimes, right? You got to just go into debt and make it happen. But that's also a mistake I made. If I was able to bootstrap and live lean and not go into debt, that also would have been good, because that debt stuck around for like 3 years and it's just rough. It's just rough to have a payment you have to make every single month. I know as soon as I paid it off, I felt so much freer, like a crazy amount freer. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to be anywhere. So credit card debt really does weigh you down. The fifth mistake I made in my first year as an entrepreneur is living too nicely. Now, I was doing something similar in my first year as an entrepreneur as I am now, which is living in a different city every month, trying to keep my rent around $1,000 a month, living in Airbnbs, and all of that was fine. Once I made some money as an entrepreneur, I made the rookie mistake of staying in nicer hotels and spending more than I could afford on everything, which led to more debt. And it was a snowball of just getting into deeper and deeper debt. So don't do that. Don't make that mistake. The number 6 mistake I made was not listening to gut feelings or firing people too slowly. I had a few team members early on where it was clear they weren't working out. That sales manager where I was going out of pocket to pay him and going deeper into debt, even though we didn't have enough clients to really sustain him, that was a big mistake. Firing that sales manager probably would have saved around 10K, which at the time was a huge amount of money. Still a huge amount of money. Listening to the gut and removing people that were bad for the business would have saved a lot of heartache and a lot of money, even more than 10K. The 7th mistake I made in my first year of entrepreneurship is relaxing after I made a few sales. In the first 30 days of starting, I took my freelancing from $0 to a little over 10K a month. And then I relaxed. I was like, all right, yeah, I got this entrepreneurship thing down. And you see these blog posts online too. Like if you're in Reddit and /r-startups, people are talking about taking their business from $0 to $400,000 in a year, or $0 to $30,000. And all of that's great. And I was one of those people, right? Like it was sick. We actually had a top post in /r-startups. After 30 days, when money wasn't coming in and I had to collect, or really after 30 days when one of those clients left, because I had spent those 30 days celebrating and living it up because I thought I had this entrepreneurship figured out, I had no pipeline, meaning I had no other clients that were about to pay. And so what I learned as an entrepreneur and what we do now constantly is you have to keep reaching out and keep acting like you don't have clients. That way, if you lose clients, you can always have more clients coming in, and that's it. Even if you're the best at what you do, people are going to leave. That's it. The average tenure for a CMO at a Fortune 500 company is, well, last time I checked a couple of years ago, it was 6 months. So even if this person is doing everything and they're a professional chief marketing officer, they're fired after 6 months. The tenure of an agency or a contractor is even less than that, especially if you're in a role where you have to deliver, like marketing or sales, where it's very clear if you suck. So keep reaching out. Your clients will leave you. Accept it. Don't hate it. Don't fight it, and keep reaching out. Now, the final mistake that I made as an entrepreneur in my first year that I would change if I could is not getting testimonials earlier. A testimonial is a client saying good stuff about you. The reason why this was such a big mistake on our part is when I was first starting X27, I had a couple good case studies. I had one good client where we made him $1 million and grew his business by 16%. And eventually, like a year later, I asked him for a video testimonial. He recorded it. And that one video led to a few $1 million more in business. If I had just gotten that video when I first started out, we could have grown faster. And that's that. So get and use testimonials. We use testimonials now everywhere. You can see in our Email 10K webinar, we've got testimonials from everyone making money with our course. And you can just see when they make money with the course, it makes you want to buy the course because you want those same results. For our marketing agency, we've got all these marketing companies and agencies that have worked with us that are just saying, hey, I booked a meeting with this client. We booked a meeting with JP Morgan Chase, et cetera, et cetera. Our agency is booked solid to the point where we have to turn people away. Like things like that are worth so much. Getting clients to say that on video is worth so much to your business. So that was a big mistake that I made early on. So those are the 8 mistakes I made my first year as an entrepreneur. Not collecting money, selling too many things and not focusing, hiring too many people, going into credit card debt, living too nicely, not listening to my gut and firing faster, relaxing after a few sales, and not getting testimonials earlier. By the way, if you want the system that we're covering in this video as a free checklist, grab the link in the description. You can have a PDF of everything we talked about. What mistakes have you made, or have you seen yourself making these similar mistakes? Let me know down in the comments. Would love to talk about it. If you want to grow your company, check out email10k.com. We talk step by step about how to work with clients that can afford you. Leave a comment below, like we talked about. We'd love to chat. Like this video to encourage this type of content, and subscribe for more videos like this. We release content 3 times a week, and we have been for the last 4 years. So if you want more business content, just check out our archive. We got tons of stuff for you to watch. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.